Developing Contacts to Enterprise Stories, an MMJ webinar. Hi, this is Bob Kaplitz with Audience Research and Development. Enterprise journalism. You have to cover the news of the day, the commodity news. But the stories you enterprise will set you apart, and that's a key point. Reactive journalism. For example, the city releases crime stats. Proactive journalism, you identify crime trends. That becomes a point of difference. Very promotable. Reactive journalism is a commodity. Proactive journalism, enterprise reporting, represents a competitive advantage, usually a brand of journalism. Look at the lower left quadrant. The vast majority of your stories are here as a TV station. They're not distinctive. It's a commodity. Look at the upper left. Find something to call your own in the news of the day, the hard-to-get valuable facts, and then you move up here. That's hard to do with the news of the day. Deadline pressure makes it difficult. Look at the bottom right quadrant. Drive the news agenda for the market by enterprising stories. You can't wait for breaking news. A slow news day is your friend. Upper right quadrant, enterprise your own stories to move your content from what's essentially copycat, the news of the day, to exclusive information. The more stories you can do that fit in the upper right quadrant, the better your stories will be. You have more control over them, the more promotable they'll be. Strong brands live in that upper right quadrant. Let's help you get there. Start by audit your sources. How many stories has each source given you? How big were they? These are good questions to ask. They're a reality check. We'll ask reporters these questions. They'll say, I got a lot of sources. I've been here a long time. But when you get down to specific sources, well, we haven't really gotten many stories from him and haven't really gotten many stories from her. They're nice people, though. Of course, that's not the point. Read news with an eye toward identifying possible contacts. Take this story, for example. Prices for parking permits are jumping. Well, this story has already happened, but there's a contact person here. That person might be good for a follow-up report. Also, if you get to know that person, they could plug you in with a lot of other developments in the downtown area. You don't know unless you ask for that get-acquainted meeting and get to know them. Include blogs and forums to appreciate different points of view in your reading. There are a lot of blogs and forums, even on the local level. Take advantage of them. Talk to your neighbors and show your curiosity. Maybe you got into TV news because you're a curious person. Well, ask about the kids and the families, and how are the kids doing in school, and how do they like their teachers, and what's going on in the schools. Lots of opportunities for parents to talk to you about their most important subject, them and their families. Lots of story ideas come out of that. Join a club, get a hobby, play a sport so you can meet new people. These are easy, non-threatening opportunities to get to know. Everybody has a story, and those stories, some of them at least, you can turn. Keep your eyes and ears open. You can learn about many community stories, running errands, for example. I was in a supermarket the other day and I noticed the lines were extra long. So I asked the checkout person, what's going on here? And she said, well, I just heard that IBM is opening a new operation here, and a lot of their people have already moved into the area and they're shopping at our store. They are in contact, the checkout people, with a lot of people, and they know a lot about what's going on because they're in contact with them. Take advantage of that. The same at church. One of our clients had an opportunity to address their congregation about what they're doing in their career. As a multimedia journalist, sounds like a glamorous career. Tell us about it. And he did. And in return, he said, if you have stories that you're interested in our covering, let me know. I'm happy to do it. And that opened up the floodgates for a lot of story ideas. Also, find a specialty, a beat, important for viewers. For example, education. Again, parents are very concerned about the education of their kids and what goes on in the schools. They feel that the schools are not candid with them. They're not open. Principals really are reluctant to talk about problems. Lots of story ideas. Related to this is become an expert for certain types of stories that are important to viewers. This anchor became an anchor mom. And she has gotten many, many stories from viewers, follows up on those stories, and gets even more. But you don't have to be an anchor mom. Just zero in on what's important, break stories in those areas, and you'll come up with more stories from viewers. Work to develop contacts where you find mutual trust. Don't pick the hard to get to know people. Pick the folks you can seem to relate to. They're a good start. Open the floodgates. Ask, what's wrong with TV news? Never have we asked a question that has gotten as many passionate responses. And in those answers, you can come up with stories. If they say you never do a story about such and such, well, tell me more about that. Lots of opportunities there. Talk about what interests them. For example, you might be in a person's office and see a picture of a child. Is that your son? Is he in a Little League team? Well, you'll never do a story about the Little League team. Well, tell me more about the team. I'm sure there's a human interest story in there somewhere. A great opportunity to get to know your contact and perhaps turn a story. Action items. Plan to meet 2 new sources a week. Listen to their problems with TV news. See if there's a story there for you. Get to know what's important to them. Get their perspective on key issues. All this opens the door for many story ideas and the beginning of a strong relationship that leads to powerful enterprise reporting. Contact me with questions. Take care.